Hello, every pony! And I've got a special treat for you today. As it is the last Sunday before the end of 2013, and I usually do my videos on Sundays, I'd figured I'd go ahead and give you my favorite episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic as a series so far, as of the end of 2013. And yes, I have seen every single episode that has come out, all the new ones, including the one that came out yesterday. So I have a very clear basis about which episode I wanted to choose for this. And I chose one of most everyone a big fan favorite episode, Party of One, which even after two whole seasons and a little bit of season 4, it's still my favorite out of all the episodes I've watched. I have to say that it's got the best everything for me. So, let's get started with my review of Party of One. So, we start out this episode with Pinkie Pie delivering in song an invitation for Gummy, her pet alligator's birthday party. Because apparently her alligator is turning 1, and knowing Pinkie Pie, she'll throw a party for anything. So if it's her pet's birthday, she's going to throw a big party and invites all of our friends, aka the Remain 5. And they have the party after Pinkie Pie gets so exhausted from doing all the invitations for everyone in song. So they have a party, and we notice a couple things about Pinkie's parties that are kind of distressing. Like, Applejack and Rainbow Dash are doing bobbing for apples, but Pinkie Pie has set traps in there. Like, Applejack pulls out an apple and it's got a spring attached to it, or Rainbow Dash puts her head in there and then Gummy gets attached to her face. So then we go to Rarity, who's drinking punch, and of course Rarity has her own way of doing things, and with Rarity, she really, really likes the punch, and wants to know the recipe about it, until she finds out that Gummy is taking that punch and using it as a bath, because it's his favorite. Of course, Rarity being her, immediately spits out in Pinkie's face, but Pinkie being her, doesn't even notice. So Rarity tries to be nice, takes a really big sip of the punch, and keeps it in her mouth. And the moment Pinkie goes away, spits it out in a plant, because obviously, even though it tasted good before she found out about Gummy, it's not going to taste good to her anymore. So we see Twilight and Fluttershy dancing, and Pinkie comes up and starts dancing with them. But, well, Pinkie's a little rambunctious and bumps really hard into both Fluttershy and Twilight, making them crash into the wall and make big dents in it. Kind of disorienting, I guess, but, well, they don't care anyway. Because then all of them are in a circle dancing, with Gummy in the middle doing the craziest dance ever. He's just raising the roof all over the place. The house is exploding. And so as we see the Remain 5 leaving Pinkie Pie's house, she's like, oh, thank you for coming. Twilight, would you like to come back in for some cake? But Twilight refuses, of course, which is understandable. Long night. Maybe she wants to go to bed because she's been studying a lot, so it's, like, tiring and stuff. But then Pinkie gets the idea that they would want to come back the next day and party some more. So she comes to everybody's houses the next day with invitations, written ones, asking if they want to come to Gummy's after birthday party, which will be this afternoon. But the thing is that the Remain 5 are making a lot of excuses. Twilight saying that she needs to study, and using her magic behind Pinkie's back makes a giant mountain of books to make it seem like she's going to be really busy. Applejack, lying through her teeth, being the element of honesty, says that she needs to pick some apples, even though she has 3 massively full carts of apples behind her when she gets the invitation. Rarity, who probably went to the most extreme measure, says she needs to wash her hair, and after Pinkie says that her hair is fine, dumps her head into the trash so that her hair is dirty. That's probably the most extreme measures I've ever seen Rarity go to. And then Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, who happen to be together when Pinkie comes to them, say that they're house-sitting for a bear named Harry, who is on vacation at the beach. And his cave is a really big cave, and it looks like and it feels like a house because it's nice and dressed up with housey furnishings and stuff. And then they immediately dash off when they realize that Pinkie's not going to believe them for very much longer if they keep talking. So, us as an audience, we can see that there's something going on with the remaining 5, but Pinkie can't notice this. That's one thing that I think is really genius about this episode, is that some things we can see some things as an audience that Pinkie can't see, but a lot of the things we can see just as Pinkie does. Like, the next scene, Pinkie is contemplating what is going on when she sees Twilight outside the window sneaking around in front of Sugar Cube Corner, and she's very confused. So, she gets tin can and string and spies on Twilight and Mrs. Cake talking, but she doesn't know what they're talking about. And we don't see what they're talking about either. We're seeing it all from Pinkie's perspective, which is my favorite thing about this episode, is that we barely know we know just as much as Pinkie does about what's going on. So, as Pinkie follows Twilight, she does something that's really funny, is she starts putting on these disguises as we go from Twilight to Rarity, who hides the box that Twilight got from Sugar Cube Corner inside of the coil of her tail, which is just great. And Pinkie puts a hay bale on with Groucho glasses, which was also pretty great. And then Rarity hands off the box to Fluttershy, where they talk about how it's great that Pinkie didn't see through their excuses, and that they don't want her to ruin whatever is going on. Which has to be pretty depressing, because I have heard before, talking to friends, about how I'm not important to them, and how friends don't really want me around to do things. It's very crushing to know that your friends are trying to do something without you, and they're not telling you about it, and they're being all secretive and acting like you don't matter. It's extremely depressing, so I can only imagine how Pinkie felt, especially the fact that these 6 friends of hers are really important, and the fact that Pinkie relies heavily on the friendship of others to stay happy. So, as we see, Fluttershy accidentally bumps into Pinkie Pie, which is hilarious because Fluttershy's immediately scared by Pinkie's disguise, which is completely understandable. So then Rainbow Dash walks by and immediately calls Pinkie's bluff, saying, "Hey, Pinkie Pie," not even noticing that Pinkie was in disguise, but Pinkie immediately noticing something's going on. Because the moment that Rainbow Dash notices that it is Pinkie Pie, even though she just called her bluff, she starts to fly away super, super fast. And we get a callback to Griffin the Brush-Off from when Pinkie Pie chased Rainbow Dash around, and it's always there first. Even though Rainbow Dash is like the fastest flyer in all Equestria, Pinkie can still beat Rainbow Dash flying away. Which I think is an interesting point, because I heard about this in a video once, was that it was more than just a callback. It was kind of showing how far they had gotten. That before, when Pinkie was chasing Rainbow, is because Rainbow didn't want anything to do with Pinkie. And, I mean, it's kind of like Rainbow does not want anything to do with Pinkie again, so she's running away from her, which is kind of an interesting thought. So, of course, we get the usual chase, chase, chase. Pinkie's in the bell tower, Pinkie's a branch, Pinkie is on top of the mountain first. And then Rainbow Dash flies as fast as she possibly can, somehow gets there before Pinkie, goes into the barn at Sweet Apple Acres, where Applejack immediately shuts the door and doesn't let Pinkie inside. So Applejack, of course, being the element of honesty, this is going to be the toughest thing. She is going to have to lie, because we don't know what's going on, but we know that Applejack's lying. She can't lie very well. She's not good at it, so she's a bluff liar. So when Pinkie is trying to get inside to see what's going on, she is trying her best to make sure that Pinkie doesn't go inside, making some of the best facial expressions of Season 1, which is pretty awesome considering after 4 seasons, I still consider these to be really great facial expressions that they did back then with Season 1 animation quality. So, I mean, that's impressive. It's really impressive for me. And for everyone. So, As Applejack pretends that there's construction going on its side, the other four, who happen to all be inside, start making noises that sound more like dying sheep. And then Pinkie tries to get inside more when Applejack slams the door in her face and telling her, like, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Which is kind of, you can obviously tell that there's something going on. But we don't know this yet. Oh, well, we know this, and Pinkie knows this, but we don't know what. So, Pinkie Pie finally leaves to contemplate what's going on. And she assumes that if anyone's going to tell her what's going on, it's going to be Spike. The only problem is that Spike doesn't actually know what's going on either. He doesn't even know that things are going on, obviously. So, he is kind of persuaded because Pinkie Pie has a big plate of gems, and she's gonna give him to Spike if he talks, as she says. Of course, Spike, not knowing what's going on, automatically just starts talking. So then, Pinkie Pie says, talk about our friends. So Spike starts to talk about their friends. And then she's like, no, I want you to confess. So Spike does the only thing he could think of and confess about things that happened to him recently. But they aren't what Pinkie wants to know. He says that apparently he spilled grape juice all over one of Twilight's books. He used up all the hot water in Ponyville the day before because he took a 7-hour bubble bath. And when no one's around, he takes a mirror and starts flexing in it. Like all guys probably do at one point in their lives. So then Pinkie gets so angry, she tells Spike exactly what to say. That her friends are lying to her and avoiding her because they don't like her parties and they don't want to be her friends anymore. Of course, Spike, who is now very, very, very terrified of what's going on, what's going to happen, automatically repeats everything that Pinkie says. And then it happens. What happens next is actually a really groundbreaking moment in MLP. So Pinkie was like, yes, finally, someone's giving me a straight answer. And then her hair deflates like a balloon. It just, poof, it's all flat like it was in Cutie Mark Chronicles before Pinkie found out about Fun. And of course, everyone watching this is like, what's going on? Why is her hair flat? She's really depressed looking. She's very dark. And then, after the commercial break that should follow, we get probably one of the creepiest scenes in the history of MLP. So creepy, in fact, that it actually spawned one of the darkest parts of the MLP fandom, most of the grimdark stuff, which of course if you haven't ever heard of grimdark before, which is understandable because I actually didn't hear about it until maybe a couple months ago, grimdark being all the dark parts of the MLP fandom, including Pinkamena Diane Pie, which was spouted from this episode and I believe, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think it's the foundation for the grimdark part of the fandom. Because I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, so that's why I'm going to put that out. So, we see Pinkie Pie. Her hair is flat, and she is having a Gummies After Birthday party, just like she planned. But the party guests aren't her friends. They are a ball of lint, a sack of flour, a bucket of turnips, and a pile of rocks, which she has slightly dressed up by putting party hats on them. And we get to notice that something's very wrong. Every once in a while, she'll twitch. Her eyes will shrink to pinpoints, and a splatter paint background will show up for just a brief second. Until, after giving cake to the pile of lint, her eyes completely go in opposite directions and the splatter paint background stays for most of the remainder of that scene. Where the fake party guests that she's created, which she had been giving voices to previously, start moving around without her touching them. Of course, she's actually touching them, but we don't see that. We'd see them moving around without her touching them. it's obviously a tough blow to her psyche, what has happened in this episode, because she is going very, very mental at this point. And everyone who's watching this is scared. I mean, it's terrifying. I remember the first time I watched this, I'm like, this is a show for children? Are you sure? Because I'm positive a lot of these kids are gonna wet the bed after seeing this. So Rainbow Dash comes inside of her house, seeing Pinkie Pie just going crazy, trying to convince her to come with her to Sweet Apple Acres. Of course, all of us are like, what are you doing, Rainbow Dash? Obviously, you don't care about her anymore because you're shunning her and lying and not giving her straight answers. So then, trying her hardest, Rainbow pulls Pinkie to Sweet Apple Acres, and when we open the door, everyone shouts, "Surprise!" And of course, as we've been going through the motions with Pinkie this whole episode, none of us exactly know what's going on. So we're just like, what? 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 Why are you shouting surprise? Pinkie automatically assumes that, of course, it's a going away party for her, and that they want to rub it in her face that she's no longer in the group. But then we find out one of the most shocking parts of this episode was that it was actually Pinkie Pie's birthday party, and she didn't remember it. So after thinking about it, looking around, cake, it says happy birthday, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie goes back to normal, thank God, before she murdered anybody, and they enjoy the birthday party for Pinkie Pie, with the lesson that you shouldn't put doubt into your friends if you don't know everything that's going on. That you shouldn't doubt your friends, and doubting them could lead to bad stuff, like not being friends with them anymore. Okay, so this episode threw me a curveball. Before this, I mean, most of the stuff that went on in the episodes was very tame, normal children's show stuff. Then this episode happened. And the four episodes immediately following this. I'm counting season 1 finale, the season 2 opener, and the episode following the season 2 opener. All 4 of those episodes after that, they all just went mental with everyone. These 5 episodes in a row, Party of One, Best Night Ever, Return of Harmony, and Lesson Zero, all 5 of those episodes they just rip your psyche apart. And this show changed for everybody. 'Cause it wasn't that intense. I mean, first we get Pinkie Pie, who is so obviously just gonna murder someone if they don't fix her immediately. Fluttershy, who's also gone insane because animals won't love her, so she wants them to love her by forcing it. Then we get Discord, who changes every pony's personality so that they're all opposite of what their element of harmony is. And then we have Twilight going insane because of the lesson that she can't find, and literally almost axe murdering the CMC, in my opinion. I saw that clip of her face over the guy from The Shining's face, and it seriously looked really natural. I mean, the series kind of jumped and went somewhere really unexpected, and I loved it. I think that Party of One was definitely the episode, which, when I first started watching the show, I didn't watch all the episodes in order. After episode 4, I kind of skipped ahead and went to other places in the series, and Party of One was one of those places. Actually, now that I think about it, Party of One was one of the last episodes I watched of this show when I was watching it originally through, which is kind of weird. I think it was because Netflix doesn't always have the best little synopsis for episodes, so I'm just kind of like, this doesn't sound good. But when I watched this, I was just like, okay, maybe I was wrong about this show. It's definitely a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, this episode was really what brought it for me. Before that, I was just like, I'm not interested in the brony thing. I mean, the show's good. At least it doesn't have a horrible, horrible context. I mean, if I had to watch it because there's nothing else on, I would watch it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Party of One stopped me in my tracks and blew me into this fandom on a wave of awesomeness. That's why this is my favorite episode. So, as this is the final Sunday before the end of 2013, that's why I decided to bring this for you. And I have to say that this entire year, has been great. Because, well, one, I got introduced into the Brony fandom, and I'm a Brony now, and I am forever thankful. Two, I also got into Doctor Who just around the same time I got into this show, which is awesome. Three, I've started liking video games more, which is also exceptionally awesome, because, I mean, come on, video games are just fun. And four, I get to enjoy the pleasures of YouTube a lot more now because of the fact that I'm trying to embrace it and everything, and I'm 16, which is pretty awesome as well. So I have to say that thank you. Thank you, Brony community, for making me feel really special and giving me a new place for me to go. And if any of you Bronies watching like Doctor Who, I want to thank you guys as well, because you're also awesome. So, thank you. I'll see you again in 2014.